Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandia, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com. Welcome to another episode of Bare Truth. I'm Aldo Gandia, and alongside me is the star of the show, Danny Shimon. How are you, brother?
I am doing great. We're going streaking 2 in a row here.
How about it? What was your overall level of euphoria after the Bears won that game?
Well, I'm telling you right now, whenever I look at the stat sheet and I see 37 rushing attempts by a Bears team, I'm ecstatic because I know that the play caller, Bill Lazor, thank you so much, has committed to the run game. And that's the keys we talked about last week. He's got to commit to the run game. You have a young quarterback you're developing here, and nothing is two things that are best friend of a young quarterback: a run game and a good defense. And the Bears came out, and that's what they did. And what impressed me even more was the physicality that they brought, not only defensively, taking it to the Raiders, pressuring, Derek Carr and really abusing some of their offensive linemen. We'll get into that in the tape study here, but offensively, I mean, there are a couple of plays where the offensive line was just beautiful, and where they're both executing the inside zone run, the double team blocks. The play calling was there some times where I got a little bit confusing, but for the most part it was straight on point. I think just now we just got to kind of build on getting some more passes downfield and letting Justin Fields get more comfortable in the pocket and start making some plays. But we talked about just building steps and building blocks, and I think that's what they're doing now.
Yeah, and by the way, before we continue talking about Bear football, I want to apologize to everyone. I put on the wrong date for Bear Truth. I meant to put on that we were starting an hour later to accommodate the John Buffone's schedule, and I'm reading in the chat room that we were actually scheduled to be on yesterday. No, so I apologize for the handful of people who are waiting and wondering, where are these guys? I hope they're all right. We are all okay, and just started an hour late. We will return to our regularly scheduled time of 8 p.m. Central next Thursday after and talk about the Packers win. Excuse me.
Whoa, there we go. Freudian slip there, huh? Nice.
You know what I meant to ask you is where's your level of confidence right now with the Bears and Packers? Because John and I were talking about it at the end of Buffon 55, and we're both feeling really positive about the possibility of the Bears beating the Packers at Soldier Field for the first time since 2018.
Well, I mean, I'm right there with you guys. I mean, I have some positivity coming in. Obviously, I think we're getting them at the right time. They're missing 3 of their key players. Bakatari, the left tackle, Jair Alexander, the terrific cornerback, and then Zadar Smith, the outside linebacker. Those 3 guys are all 3 are injury reserve. They're not going to play this week, so I think we're getting them at a perfect time here. Again, the big thing was going to come down to continuing, using that running game, eating up the clock, and then now opening up the passing, game a little bit downfield. Because I think you're going to need more than 20 points to beat the Packers this week, to be honest with you. So, and then defensively, you're not going to confuse Aaron Rodgers in terms of defensive coverages and all this other stuff. But the key is just, getting pressure with your front four, making them, a little uncomfortable of course, he's got that quick release, and he just gets rid of the football so fast that sometimes it's hard to get sacks on him. But at least if you make him uncomfortable, make him move his launch point, it's his his set spot, and just be able to cover. So far, the young corners have been done a pretty good job, in both Jalen Johnson and Kendall Wilder. The safeties have given me a little bit of some trepidation there in terms of some of their play there, some defensive coverage breakdown. So that's got to be on point. But I mean, I got some positivity here. Of course, whenever you have a young developing quarterback who's showing some good promise, some good signs, some toughness that we've seen with this kid throughout his career, it just keeps building and building and building. And you can see the team is getting confident because they have a leader now on offense that they feel that they can rally around, and they know he's not there yet, but they see the signs and they see that this is a guy that they can help them get to where they want to go to.
Yeah, it's my impression too. And in listening to a couple of the Packers press conferences this week, both Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur spoke glowingly about the Chicago Bears defense, but particularly Matt LaFleur, there was a special kind of a complimentary fashion that he was paying to the Bears defense. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, it starts everywhere. I mean, they got players on all three levels. Certainly those edge rushers are as good as they get, and I think they're really playing at a high level. I think interiorly, Nichols, Hicks, Goldman, I mean, all those guys are just so disruptive. And then you got the backers. Both those guys are really, all three of the guys inside can run. Roquan, he's one of the better linebackers in this league. Ogletree, I've got a lot of respect for it. Go back to the Rams days with him, and he's still playing at a high level. And you got Danny Trevathan. So I think this, just all in all, it's the best defense we'll have played up to this point. They're just playing at an extremely high level. You see the effort on tape. I want to say Robert Quinn, the first play of the second half versus the Raiders, you see him just running, chasing down a quick pass out in the flat, and they held Oakland to 9 yards on that play or whatever, and then they hold them the next two plays, and the Raiders are punting. So I just think that anytime you have a great scheme with great players that give great effort, that's a problem. And it's not a surprise to me that they're a top 5 defense.
Great scheme, great effort, and great players. That is,
I mean, he was on point. Other than the fact they call them Oakland Raiders, they're obviously Las Vegas. So, but he's to me. I agree. I mean, the scheme has been terrific. I think Sean Desai is getting more and more comfortable, and then every week and this is for junkies like me, he gives me a little bit different looks, and I get excited about it. Like 2 weeks ago, he gave us versus the Lions. He gave us DeAndre Houston Carson at the line of scrimmage, running a stunt with Khalil Mack. Mm-hmm. This week, we'll get into it later on here. He ran 3 defensive linemen on one side, and had with Mack, Blackson, and Edwards, and he ran a stunt with those 3, and then that developed into a positive play on defense as well. So every week he's giving us a new wrinkle on defense, which I love. He's putting players in position to succeed. Roquan Smith, to me, guys, is I don't know about how everyone else feels, but I think he's been playing at a Pro Bowl level. I mean, he is all over the field, making plays sideline to sideline. And I've talked about the Robert Quinn. Mack has been having obviously I think he's back. And Eddie Goldman, we're going to touch on him tonight as well. I think he's, it took some time there. He's still not in total football shape, but he's getting there, guys. I know he didn't dent the stat sheet, but he made an impact in this game against the Raiders. So that front is really exciting. Like I said, my main concern right now is that secondary and just making sure that those safeties, know their assignments and stay in phase and stay in coverage. And then we didn't even touch on Danny Trevathan. He came back last week, played sparingly. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't start, but they kind of worked him in there into that. I think it was the second quarter. They kind of brought him in there. Did see him back on the injury report with a knee issue, so hopefully it's not something that's going to continue to bother him throughout the season. But Ogletree, I mean, they used Ogletree in a different position. They lost one of our favorites, Jeremiah Atuchu, for the season with a torn pec.
Right.
So, but they stood up Ogletree on a 2-point stance. They started having him run some loops, some stunts, and coming up into the middle with some pressure as well. So, I mean, definitely excited about that front, and I think I'm liking what I'm seeing from Sean Desai.
Yeah. I think that Trevathan is going to be okay. I think that was more of a rehabilitation, for lack of a better way of putting it, day for his knee. You know, he just came
Like
off
a rest day, like a
yeah,
veteran rest day.
exactly. Like Khalil Mack got 2 rest days. The key thing is, you know, people practicing on Friday. That's the key. And so I'm sure you'll see Mack, Trevathan. What we want to see tomorrow is hopefully Akeem Hicks practicing.
True.
He's the one that concerns me the most.
That's funny. I totally forgot about Akeem Hicks. I mean, I was running off all these names, and then Hicks right there. You know, so yeah. I mean, if you bring a healthy Akeem Hicks back into this equation, that's even just fortify that defensive front as well. So.
Yep. And the Packers have had injuries to their offensive line, but they've held up fairly well. Now, Aaron Rodgers has been sacked 10 times this season. He was sacked 20 all of last season. So that's an indication there that something is wrong. Either the offensive line or the receivers aren't getting open or whatever. And so hopefully the Bears can take advantage of that. And one of the key guys that should be taking advantage of that is Khalil Mack. And he's the kind of the first subject of your Bears Raiders review.
Yeah, so basically, if this is the Khalil Mack revenge game, he did a great job of proving just that. Just kind of a side note here. It's not really funny, but I mean, Khalil Mack's best game against the Raiders was John Gruden's last game as head coach. So that goes, you know, with that thing there. But yeah, I mean, you know, if anybody had any doubt in terms of Khalil Mack being back and being what we were accustomed to seeing, I mean, this game, he was credited with just 8 tackles. I say just 8 tackles because it feels like he was all over the football field. Yep. 7 solo tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit. But, you know, the first clip here is just basically going to be, you know, it's a second quarter play. You know, he sacks David Carr for an 8-yard loss here. And what I love about him is, again, we talked about what they're doing up front with Sean Desai. You know, he's got him running here at a tackle stunt. And then what he does is he knocks Leatherwood off balance and goes ahead and gets inside and Leatherwood, by the way, the rookie, had a really bad day against the Bears front though. But again, it's these stunts, these loops to, you know, playing alongside guys like Blackson or like Mario Edwards. You know, he gets inside, knocks the tackle off balance with just brute strength, and then just, you know, gets skinny and gets it into the quarterback, into Derek Carr, and brings now for an 8-yard loss on this sack right here.
Yeah.
But also notice too, look at Robert Quinn from the outside. He brings that outside pressure, makes Carr step up a little bit into the pocket, right into the loving, waiting arms of Khalil Mack there.
Yeah, Quinn is really surprised me. I frankly was not happy when they signed him last season, but he is proving me wrong. This guy's playing like at a Pro Bowl level, just like Khalil Mack is.
And he's doing it both on run and pass. So it's not like he's just rushing the passer and getting sacks, but he's also being effective in terms of being a run stopper as well. You know, there's that play that LaFleur mentioned where he kind of just tailed off and went downfield and made a tackle. There's also a play where he got down the line, flattened to the running back, and dropped him for a 1-yard loss as well. So the kid's making plays all over the football field, both on run and pass rush. But definitely here, you know, the combination of Quinn and Mack on the outside. Again, we've said it before. This is what Ryan Pace and the Bears were, you know, projecting, and this is why they went and got Robert Quinn to bring this type of pressure. And then when you got the big guys inside with Goldman and Mario Edwards, and you bring in a healthy Akeem Hicks, you know, Bilal Nichols, and you just bring that pressure, that pocket up front there, the quarterback's got nowhere to go. Perfect example right here. That pocket inside is you know, that pressure inside is coming from Mack on that stunt. And then Robert Quinn from the outside makes Carr step up just a little bit into the pocket. Boom, right there. And you have Mack to bring down for a sack. So again, these are all designed pass rushes that I hadn't seen through a Chuck Pagano defense, right? So I'm seeing him, you know, put these players in positions to go ahead and use their ability to get to that quarterback and just, you know, make plays and get sacks. So they're not just letting him line up on the outside and just go get him. You know, he's got creative ways to free him up and get him open and get him inside. And like I said right here, just knocks Leatherwood off balance, gets skinny right up the middle into Carr's face.
Fantastic. All right, let's go to the next play that you've got here.
Yeah, so this is the play that was the interception that our guy DeAndre Houston Carson just put him in a game and he makes a play. But I want to take a look at the formation here. Again, we talked about Sean Desai every week putting some different things on tape. Look at the lineup here where he has Mack on the outside, he has Mario Edwards and Blackson right next to each other, and he's got Robert Quinn all the way off to the right hand side there as well. So what happens is they run this stunt, they run this loop here where they goes tackle end, and then what happens? Matt goes in, knocks, kind of gives a pick, if you will, to Blackson's guy, knocks him off balance, and allows Blackson to go ahead and rush upfield into the middle of the pocket, and then Mack follows suit as well. What it does is it's not a sack, but it leads to Derek Carr being off balance on his throw, falling back, overthrowing the intended target, and here comes DeAndre Houston Carson with an interception. That's not going to go down as a sack in the stat sheet, but it's a play where it was designed pass rush, created pressure, got the quarterback uncomfortable in the pocket, has him all over in terms of his mechanics, falling backwards, overthrowing his receiver, and here comes the safety making a play. This is the things that Sean Desai is putting on tape. This is the things he's creating in terms of these pressure packages, and I love seeing this because I did not see this the last 3 years with Chuck Pagano.
Yeah, and in both of these plays that you picked up, another theme is the excellent coverage downfield. So it's not like Derek Carr had an immediate open receiver that he can get rid of the ball. The coverage seemed to be really good downfield, and that, of course, Robert Quinn said this in a press conference 2-3 weeks ago. He says, defensive backs help get sacks, and quarterback pressure helps get interceptions. So that's seems to be the formula that's happening with the Bears right now.
Exactly. And I don't want to jinx and knock on wood here, but Duke Shelley's starting to play a little bit better here at nickel corner as well. So the kid is fearless. He's not a really big guy, but he's a guy that comes down there and he sticks his head in there and makes a play, tackle. But then now in coverage wise, we saw it with the Lions game. He's getting better in terms of staying in phase, staying with the receiver. He'll get burned here and there a little bit, but again, it's not something that he's getting noticeably beaten downfield in coverage. Now, will he be tested this week with guys like Randall Cobb and possibly Devontae Adams being on the outside? We'll see. Hopefully he's not lined up against Devontae Adams, but you never know if they shift to bring Adams inside to the slot, he might be lined up against them. So this is where we're going to see some of the Bears secondary players get tested this week, especially with that quarterback and that receiver.
One of our viewers in the chat room says that Mack has brought back the bull rush this year. That's not the one. There it is. Marty says he's brought back the bull rush. Now, I've seen him bull rush in past seasons, but it is interesting that I think that the issue is that we're seeing him more rushing from the inside,
right? With these ends, these tackle end games that they're playing, he loops around, comes inside, then he converts that what I call speed to power, and just gets his hands inside the chest plate of the offensive lineman and just bullies him back. But there are going to be some of the clips here where you're going to see him just straight up coming out from the outside, doing a club, a rip under, typical outside pass rushing moves, and just get around the corner, bend the corner, and flank to the quarterback.
What was it that John Gruden used to say on the Hard Knocks? Knock on wood 3 times. Or something like that.
Knock on wood, who's with me? Knock on wood if you're with me, or something like that.
There you go. Stephen had it.
Is it too soon for Gruden jokes or not yet?
I don't think so. I think it's a good time to do. All right, next play we've got on the board here.
Here we go. We talked about Khalil Mack from the outside. This is that 2-point conversion. Remember, they just scored here. It was 14-9. If they convert this 2-point conversion, it's a 14-11 game. It's only a field goal game here, guys, in the fourth quarter. But take a look at Mack. He's standing up on the outside, comes in, rip under, gets by the offensive lineman, turns that corner. And when I say flank to the quarterback, that's what I mean right there. Turns that edge and then just flanks straight to the quarterback, takes Derek Carr down. He really had no chance to get rid of that football. So, we just talked about him, using that bull rush, but now here uses that speed and his hand usage to be able to go rip under, get the offensive lineman's arms off of him, and again turn that corner with that athletic ability, that bendability, and then just flatten to the quarterback. And when he hits, he's a devastating hitter. He just brings everything with him, and the quarterback or the ball carrier will feel him hitting you. So that's what I love about Mack, is like he's got the the total package, right? He's got the outside arsenal. He's got the ability to get inside and get physical with you. And then when he hits you hard. So that's why I think he's one of the, we'll go down as one of probably the best Bears players of all time.
Yeah, 4,000 clovers is absolutely right. Why is this not tabulated as a sack? It's a stupid
Yeah.
rule.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I was surprised that it was not actually, to be honest with you, that it wasn't, marked down as a sack for him. I think I think it was noted as a quarterback hit. I'm not even sure if they even, if that goes in as a quarterback hit or not, but
it should be at least a tackle or a tackle for a loss, which is an important stat for any player. But the other thing about this play, because I saw it about 20 times today, is watch Alec Ogletree. It's almost like he's picked on this play. And maybe the better angle is the end zone angle. You'll see it coming up. But Darren Waller, who's lined up number 89, I believe that's Waller. 83. No, so
89 is Brian. It's Brian Edwards.
Okay,
receiver.
so look at Brian Edwards, number 89. He's going to cross over, and 44, Alec Ogletree is going to get picked, I think, by number 11, or maybe it's 83. And for a split second there, Carr had 89, but but he took his eyes off of it. Now, this is kind of inconsequential to what you're teaching us here, but see how it's he almost picks 83, almost picks Alec Ogletree there, and then 89 crosses. He's open right there, but Carr takes his eyes off of him. Probably because Khalil Mack was coming at him.
Right. He felt the breath of Khalil Mack coming, and obviously that tells me that Edwards was not the primary reader. Whoever his primary reader probably was 83 is my guess is Waller. He was probably just trying to come up off a rub route there and kind of set his own screen, if you will, and then come clear and throw it to him. But because that's what he's looking at. If you see him, he's trying to follow him there, but then Mack comes in and closes in. And then sacks him. But yeah, if he keeps an eye on Edwards, he's got that split second ability to maybe that little small window to get that ball right in there to him.
Right. And if Waller was the intended receiver here, he's virtually triple teamed, because when he gets there, look, there's 3 Bears around.
Pass him off. Yep. Because he is their red zone threat. He is a guy that they go to a lot in the red zone. And he's a terrific player. He's a guy that was a receiver in college at Georgia Tech. Drafted as a tight end. I believe the Ravens drafted him as a tight end and converted him to a tight end. And his career has taken off now since he got to the Raiders.
He's really good. And then just the last point about 44 Ogletree, I think he realizes, oh my gosh, 89 is open. And watch the way he kind of puts his hands up. Keep an eye on 44. Puts his hands up right there. Yeah. But good thing Mack was there to save the day. Good stuff, brother. All right, you got one more Mack play for us to talk about.
I just wanted to kind of show you some of the impact he had here. This is the here where it's he rushes up the B gap here. He draws a holding penalty on Alex Leatherwood, the poor kid, the rookie from first round pick from Alabama. That guy was a right tackle. They moved him inside the guard, and he had to face guys like Eddie Goldman and Khalil Mack and those boys this week. But just comes up here, like I said, just gets wrapped around and draws a holding penalty. Again, that's not something that's going to go into the stat sheet. That's going to, that's going to show Khalil Mack, made a positive impact on a play. But yeah, there you go. That is it. That is a positive play there where Khalil Mack draws that holding penalty, negates a 6-7 yard gain. But also, I want you guys notice is Eddie Goldman. Eddie Goldman there backing up and bull rushing that center back into the pocket. So that Carr really had nowhere to go other than just to kind of roll out to his right there and trying to escape that pass rush. But Eddie Goldman was another guy that I think had a pretty good game. Again, a guy who's coming back from not playing last year, got COVID in training camp, has a knee injury, missed the first couple of weeks of the season, so he's not there yet in terms of being 100% healthy. But you can see him rounding into shape. And I think when I looked at the stat sheet and I saw nothing in terms of for Eddie Goldman, like not even a tackle, I was surprised. But you go back and watch the tape and you see he had impact on the game. And that was just one. This was the Khalil Mack highlight package I put together. But again, you just see Eddie Goldman, what he does there. Subtle, nothing flashy. All he does is just boil the center back into the pocket, doesn't give the quarterback an escape hatch to be able to step up in the pocket and kind of relieve some of that pressure that's coming from the outside, whether it's Mack or Quinn. That's important as well. What he does is he rolls out. Again, he rolls out. And now the lineman is called for holding, negates the play. So it kind of all works all hand in hand there together. So just wanted to point that out real quick.
Yeah. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Goldman is so often overlooked. I mean, has to be the most overlooked, underappreciated player on the Bears. and that I can remember in a long time. It's just like he never gets the credit he deserves.
Really good nose guards usually get underappreciated and go overlooked, and especially really good defenses, because all the the guys on the outside, the guys with the sacks and interceptions, those are those are guys get the big hub, the big pub. But yeah, I mean Eddie Goldman, once he's back healthy, and up to, like I said, up to football shape, it's going to be even bigger, a better defensive front in terms of run stopping and just creating overall pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, and Chubbs says the Raiders didn't try to run the ball up the middle that much, and that might just be because of that stout Bears defense. And when Eddie Goldman is in there, he makes it even more stout.
And that's without Akeem Hicks in there. Imagine if Akeem Hicks is in there healthy, that makes it even more stout there.
Yeah, I'm sure we get a lot of volunteers that that would rub down his groin to help him get better. Not me.
Hey. All right.
All right. This is the other Eddie Goldman play that you wanted me to choose for you.
So this is the one where I believe it's the Josh Jacobs run for 3. Yep, exactly. So again, nothing that's gonna highlight Eddie Goldman in terms of making a big play. But if you go and run that again, take a look at Eddie Goldman, guys. He's occupying 2 blockers here, right? Takes on 2 blockers. Actually, he sees the other guy. He had the wrong guy circled there, but he had 2 blockers, and what that does is, if you take a look, he's got 2 guys, 70 and I believe the right tackle 75 are on Eddie Goldman. They're swallowing him up. But look what happens to Ogletree. He's clear. He's clean. He's in the hole, and he goes finds up lines up his running back and just drops him for a minimal 3-yard gain. So again, nothing that Eddie Goldman is going to get credited for in terms of the stat sheet, but he takes on 2 blockers there, and Alec Ogletree is clean, left clean, no one there to touch him. He goes and gets the running back for a minimal gain.
Well, the guy took on 2 guys too. So.
Yeah, that's Blackson. There's another guy that's been playing well as well. Actually, I think that's Nichols. Looks like Bilal Nichols there.
Wow. Who's always plays well. Another underappreciated guy.
Right. But again, that's just some of the things that Eddie Goldman brings to this defense. Is it keeps these linebackers clean, especially guys like Roquan Smith and Danny Trevathan, the guys with the speed to be able to just kind of hit that lane, flow to the running back, and drop him down for either a loss or like minimal gain.
Mm-hmm. So what do I know you touched on this at the start of the show, but I'm going to show some just generic Aaron Rodgers highlights over the years against the Bears. I don't want you to break it down, but while these are playing, tell me in general terms what the Bears have to do to stop this animal from beating the crap out of us.
Send him some bad pizza the night before. I don't even know if he eats pizza. Like the Michael Jordan flu game, whatever you want to do it. But right. I mean, and this guy beats everything. I mean, pre-snap, he's like I said, he's seen all of the defensive coverages. You can't really fool him, right, in terms of disguising your stuff. Athletically, he's not a great athlete, but he's still a very terrific athlete. Can move around the pocket, is comfortable if he has to change his launch angles or his launch point. Probably the best, if not the best, one of the best, if not the best arm in the NFL. And talk about pinpoint accuracy and touch. It's uncanny. I mean, the guy just kind of rip it. Looks like he's just like letting it run loose, and then next thing you know, it's like 50-yard bomb down the field on target, hitting a receiver in stride. So that's the thing with him is I would assume they're going to try and do what this guy's going to try and do is he's going to try and zone up and try and limit his options in terms of what's available back there, and then just hope his front 4 and front 5 guys can generate some pressure. We talked about they got guys playing all out of position a little bit. They got Ellington Jenkins, who is a tackle, a guard / center coming out of college, playing left tackle. They got Billy Turner, who was a guard initially. Now he's playing right tackle. They got a rookie there, the kid from Ole Miss playing guard as well. So their line has been kind of banged up a little bit. We talked about David Bakhtiari. They're all pro left tackle is on IR. He's not going to be available. Right. You talk about Rodgers already been sacked. Was it 10 times, 10, 11 times already? So there is opportunity if you can at least hold in terms of coverage wise, not give him the quick release option to get rid of the ball quickly to an open receiver. Give him some sort of coverage. And then that front 4, 5 or 6, or if you want to bring extra defenders, blitzers, whatnot, get to the quarterback, at least make him uncomfortable, make him move his feet, even though he's still uncanny in terms of being able to, shift left, shift right in the pocket. even break away from pressure, but still, throw a missile down the field on target. That's the only thing you can do is just, get him, get some pressure in his face and just be able to kind of maybe, have him just be uncomfortable back there. But if you're just going to sit back there and just play coverage and not even get in terms of his face, he's going to pick you apart because there's only so much you can cover in terms of back there. And of course, they got Davante Adams. Randall Cobb's been, kind of reborn again when going back to Green Bay. They got some weapons out there. So, and then we talked about Aaron Jones, their running back as well, who's a pretty good running back and a good pass catcher out of the backfield too. So, they got the weapons to go ahead and beat you. Robert Tonyan, the tight end that seemingly no one talks about, but all you do is look up, and this guy had I think 8 or 9 touchdowns last year, if not more. He hurt the Bears on a big play down in Green Bay. Had a big play down the middle of the field there. So, he's got weapons. Now, are they the great players other than Davante Adams and Aaron Jones? I don't know if any of these guys are considered to be great players, but when you have a great quarterback, he makes good players look like they're very good players. So, that's the key there as well. But for me, the key would be just to get pressure with those, front 4, front 5 guys, and try and cover them in the backfield in terms of defensive backfield. Give them limited options in terms of getting rid of that football.
If you can win those one-on-one battles, if you can create pass rush with just those 4 rushers, it's going to be a great advantage. One of the interesting things, though, is watching some of those highlights, there's that connection that he's had with those veteran receivers, guys like Jones and Jordy Nelson, and now Davante Adams. Over the years, he's had that kind of sixth sense with them, where he will look at those guys and they know exactly what to do. Right. And now, with the exception of Davante Adams, he doesn't have that anymore, and it's led to some problems in the red zone. Their red zone efficiency is really down, and Aaron Rodgers was asked about that.
I mean, I think we can be more aggressive. I think that's the biggest thing. I think last year we scored an 80% clip, which was crazy. This year we're more down near 50, I believe, in the mid 50s. I think we can keep being more aggressive in those areas. And it does more aggressive doesn't mean throw the ball more. It just means we have a ton of scheme down there, and let's keep rolling it off the sheet.
So I think he sent a message to Sean Desai saying you're going to see some different things in the red zone. So be prepared for stuff.
I took it more as he sent a message to his own coach in terms of let's be more aggressive in terms of your play calling here. Okay. Remember the whole thing with the playoff. It was a 4th and 1. I didn't go for it or something like that. He said that wasn't my call. So I think that was more to his head coach there, saying, hey, because Matt LaFleur obviously is a play caller as well. So hey, we've got these plays here. We got them schemed up. Let's go ahead and be a little more aggressive when we get into the red zone and not just run maybe generic vanilla plays, base plays, and then settle for a field goal. So that's how I took it. In terms of the side, you have to go in there and just kind of preparing to just limit the damage. That's why I said earlier in the show the Bears are gonna have to score more than 20 points, I believe, in order to win this football game. So because I think they're gonna score at least a minimum of 21. Even if you play great defense on Aaron Rodgers, he's that good where they're gonna put up 17 to 21 points at least. Right. So, the whole good thing is kind of you can go back and see what the Bengals did against them last week. I think they held them to only was it 25 points? Was it 25-22 was the final score? Right. So, let's see what the Bengals did, obviously, and different defense, but you have some more talent here up front with the Bears than you do with the Bengals, in my opinion. As long as you create some pressure. I think, again, just with these quarterbacks, with the great ones, even Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, you name them. If you get pressure, especially in their face, in their front of their face, that's why they get uncomfortable. Everyone thinks the outside pass rushers are what cause these quarterbacks to get scared. It's more in the middle, in their face, or up the middle, I should say, in their face kind of pressure that really kind of rattles them because, if you think about it, if Quinn and Mack are coming from the outside and that pocket is clean, he can just step up into the pocket and then find his, release valve or dump the ball off and get rid of the football and kind of, not worry about the sack. But, it's if that pocket is, if that middle of the offensive line is all congested because Eddie Goldman or Akeem Hicks, if he's playing, or Mario Edwards is getting pressure and bullying the offensive lineman back into him. And now you got Mack coming from the side. Now he's got kind of trapped, doesn't know where to go. That's where you see these guys get a little uncomfortable there.
Mm-hmm. All right, now let's turn our attention to the offense, and it's interesting that you selected a handful of Khalil Herbert plays, and you did this before news came out that Damian Williams, who was the Bears' starting running back against the Raiders in place of David Montgomery, is out and probably will not play on Sunday, according to Pro Football Talk. He has not tested positive for COVID, but he's on the COVID restriction list, which means if he is vaccinated, he will be tested twice over the next 24 hours. And so there's a chance he could play Sunday. But if he's not vaccinated, then he's going to be out for 10 days. And Pro Football Talk said there hasn't been a player, even if they've been vaccinated, who have made it back within 48 hours after being on this COVID protected list. So the odds are very, very slim. And that could mean, do you anticipate, Danny, that Herbert is going to see like 20 carries, or do you think Artavius Pierce might be activated and he'll play the Khalil Herbert role from last week, and Herbert will play the Damian Williams role?
Yeah, I mean, Herbert got 18 carries last week against the Raiders. So, I mean, I don't see why he can get 20 carries against the Packers. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy that, as you guys, watching or following us on Draft on Tap, I was really high on Khalil Herbert leading up to the draft process. And once the Bears made him the 6th round pick, I was even more ecstatic with the selection. And coming into this season, you and I talked about this, although I feel like the Bears' depth at running back was the best that they've had as far back as I can remember. And I think this is now, kind of proving here with obviously Montgomery getting hurt, potentially with Williams missing this game due to that COVID issues there. But yeah, I mean, I'm confident in Herbert in terms of, him, carrying the bulk and the load. The thing about him is he's got a compact, powerful frame. He's about 5'9", almost 200 some pounds. So the thing about him is his shiftiness, his vision, his patience. And that's why I wanted to kind of point it out to you guys here tonight is some of the things there, some of the subtle things that I'm going to break down here. And it's not, not huge, 20, 30 yard runs, but again, it's just, first thing I want to start off here is with his patience, right? Young running backs, especially guys that are not top, first, second round picks. They want to come in with a purpose. They want to make a big play, a big splash when they get the chance, their opportunities. And usually what happens is they get the ball and they're boom, they're up the field. They're running into the back of into their blockers, or they're not letting the blocking develop here. But here, look at Herbert here, gets the ball. And what does he do? He shows patience, right? He allows Jason Peters to go ahead and come out and pull to the right side here, allows him to set up that block, seal off that edge defender, all right, and then give him the opportunity to go ahead and cut off that block and then get upfield for an 8-yard gain. So again, that's something that I like to see about this kid is a young kid, 6th round pick. Again, not letting the moment be too big for him and kind of just, run up the back of Jason Peters there, or not even, trying to hit up the field real quick, but allows his blocking to go. Doesn't come off a course, because he probably could have broken that off, gone left there, maybe got 3 or 4 yards, but he trusted his blocking, followed Peters up that right side there, seal the edge. Good job by Peters, by the way. And he just hits it up the field and gets as many yards as he can. And the thing I noticed about this kid, the thing I love about this kid, contact balance, contact power. The guy just runs through arm tackles. Generally, the first defender doesn't bring him down. He bounces off defenders and he continues to get those yards after that first initial contact.
Yeah. Too bad A-Rob didn't do a better job with his block downfield, right? Number 12.
I think it was more Mooney there too, and then Mooney gets kind of pushed down here as well. See him right into Herbert's legs there. Because I think if Mooney was able to at least get his man off a little bit, or hold or sustain his block, then A-Rob kind of continued his block, and maybe Herbert could have cut off of A-Rob's block. But yeah, I mean, neither one really gave that great of an effort, but Mooney just got really run over there. But there's a couple of times where they try to use Mooney and Damiere Byrd at the line of scrimmage to fend off, and block some either cornerbacks or some, linebackers. And both times those guys have not really stood a chance. So, I would rather prefer to see Mooney downfield making plays, but in a case like this, where you got to at least sustain your block and get in the middle of in between, the ball carrier and the defender, when he just gets pushed overpowered there at the point of contact.
Mm-hmm. All right. Who before we show this next clip, who's the player comp for Khalil Herbert that you have? Because I've heard everything from Thomas Jones to Jordan Howard. Anyone come to mind?
I think Thomas Jones is a good comp for me. He's a guy that's got good speed, not great speed. Of course, Thomas Jones the same way. And we talked about that compact build. Now, obviously, Jones is bigger, more stronger. But Herbert's just a rookie, so he's got a chance to develop there. But I think Herbert's got a little bit of a quicker hitch in his giddy up there, if you will. The burst and acceleration to get through the line of scrimmage, I think, a little bit faster than Thomas Jones. But yeah, I mean, that contact power, that contact balance, same thing with Thomas Jones. The first defender typically did not bring down Thomas Jones. It took either 2 or 3 guys at the at near line of scrimmage, or once he got into that second, third level, then you're talking about gang tackling Thomas Jones to bring him down. So same thing with Khalil Herbert. You're going to see this guy just kind of bounce off of tackles here.
Ernie777 says maybe A-Rob is not blocking well downfield because he's protecting himself a little bit. And who knows, maybe he's not doing it consciously, maybe subconsciously, maybe he's just off to a slow start blocking. But yeah, those things are tough. That's why I would love to have seen him sign to a multi-year contract now. I don't think it's going to probably happen, but that's a story for another day. We'll cover that in a future show. All right, let's get to this next Herbert run, which is also for 8 yards.
Right. So first of all, we'll see a better angle when we do the end zone view. But I just love the way the offensive line blocked this up. We got 3 double teams going here. We got Goodwin and Mooney double teaming. We got Cole Kmet and Jason Peters double teaming, and we got Mustafa and Whitehair double teaming. This is the typical inside zone run here, and I like the way that Daniels leaks out to the second level, gets it to his run fit. Elijah Wilkinson does a nice job of just flowing and getting his defender out of the way there as well. But again, with Herbert, I want to point out here is his vision, his patience to be able to kind of feel the blocking develop, and then see that backside lane, come through there and just, plant it and hit upfield, not dancing around, not getting too pretty back there. A plant, cut, and go. And I think this was an 8 or 10 yard gain here. But again, just to see that ability to be able to first block it that well, and then just to feel for the instincts to feel the way the blocking is going, to cut off of that blocking, and then to see that backside lane open up, plant, burst, go through a line of scrimmage. You're up into that second and third level of defense now.
And I got to tell you, I'm looking through all these clips today. I didn't have time to cut my own package of clips, but I'm going to make time to cut a package of clips of Sam Mustipher, because I think he is being unfairly criticized. Yes, he's not winning every battle, particularly on pass rushers. He does have a trouble against bull rushing, but his run blocking, I think, is B+ or A-. Pass blocking, I would probably put it down at the C. I think because he's had a couple of very visible gaffes at the center position that a lot of our fans are picking on Sam Mustipher, but I don't see what a lot of other people are seeing. What do you think about Sam Mustipher's blocking?
Yeah, the thing about Mustipher, we've talked about it before. He's more of the athletic blocker. He's a guy that's going to, move a guy laterally as opposed to just overpowering guy at the point of contact. And he's not going to do that. And if you expect him to, just be able to, be a road grader, if you will, and just get into the pads of a guy and just kind of bulldoze him off the spot, that's not Sam Mustipher's game. His ability to move laterally, because he's a quicker, more athletic interior offensive lineman. His ability to escape and get to that second level run fit that we just saw James Daniels do on that previous clip. That's where Sam Mustipher kind of excels, getting to that linebacker, being able to seal off that second level run defender, and then allowing your running back to, once he gets past that first level of defense, to be able to cut off of that block and then continue into that second and third level of defense. So that's where Mustipher does a good job. And there's going to be a clip, I think we might coming up here on the next one, where you see him kind of start with a double team chip and then release off into that second level. That's where he excels at, as opposed to just kind of staying there mano a mano, taking guys on and overpowering him at the line of scrimmage. That's not his game there. So, but yeah, I mean, this game here, what I like to see about the offensive line here is they were moving the Raiders off their spot for most of the time, whether it's laterally or even, if they were like 1 or 2 yard, running backwards. But it's still, I like seeing that. And what does the old saying goes is, if your blockers are having trouble pass blocking, run the football, because that engages them physically, that gets their juices, their blood pumping, and that gets them more confidence in the game. And now you can start working off of that. we talked about it over and over again, right? Ad nauseum, you and I, Aldo, about establishing a run game. They're averaging, both running backs were averaging over 4 yards a carry. But let's say each one was averaging about 3 yards a carry. You're still getting that run, those 37 run attempts. You're still getting those in there, right? You're still getting the defense to think about it. And that one or two step by the linebacker to come in just in case to get prepared to be able to take on a blocker or to make a tackle on a running back. That gives all that green area behind that second level defender and that safety for a guy like Demir Bird or a guy like Marquise Goodwin or a Mooney, a quick footed receiver to get back in there and get on 7, 8 yard, 10-yard completion. And I think that's what sets everything up here. Now you build off of that, right? Now you got an athletic quarterback, a guy that can do a play action, roll out of the pocket. He's fast enough where he sees nothing open. He can take the edge, take the corner, run 10, 11 yards up the field for another first down. These are ways you can continue to build off of this and just continue to grow this offensive unit.
Mm-hmm. This play is a good example of both Mustipher and Wilkerson getting their initial blocks and then heading to the second level and helping to create more running space for the running back. So look at number 7 and look at your center. I'll run it a couple of times, but they do an excellent job here. Especially
Mustipher, you see him, he chips here, and then he releases to a second level linebacker, number 42, and he just seals him off. Right. Mm-hmm. And the thing I like about Herbert here is, again, he just kind of sees it and he feels it. And then the vision, be able to stop, plant, and then cut and burst. Right. And then here we go again. We talked about contact power and contact balance. The defender makes contact with him about what? And then he carries him about another 4 or 5 yards up the field for more yards there too. So that's what I like about this kid. That's what I love about this kid. The vision, the patience, the shiftiness, he's got some home run potential. He's not not a speed demon by any stretch of the means, but his ability to burst through that line, that crease when he sees it open there, get into that second level, and then again lower his pad level. This is what I call by finishing his runs. Get those pad levels down low, run through, bully yourself through a defender. About 4 or 5 yards after the contact, he's carrying a guy and getting more yards. So that's what I love seeing about this kid.
This is another play, too, where if you would have gotten better run blocking from Darnell Mooney, it could have been popped for more yards. So number 11 is at the bottom of the screen here, and you'll probably see it better at the end zone level. But number 11 is not able to sustain this block with 39 of the Raiders.
And actually, the effort, to be honest with you, the effort doesn't look like it's really there. I mean, doesn't even get in front of him. He knows where the run's going. He knows it's going to the left. He's got to at least cut off that angle there. But yeah, just the effort doesn't look like it was there. But again, if he can improve that, his guy makes the tackle. Number 39 is Mooney's guy. He fights off the block attempt by Mooney and gets down there and he makes tackle on Khalil Herbert. So maybe you're right. If he just sustains that block for another 2 or 3 seconds, Mooney, Herbert can cut it upfield, might get, make it a bigger gain.
See, here we go again. I don't get it. We just showed 3 plays where Sam Mustipher was doing excellent work at run blocking. How can you say he's not very good at all? That doesn't make any sense to me. I just showed you evidence. And I'll show you even more in coming weeks. I don't get it.
So we got Aldo here building up the Sam Mustipher fan club.
Well, and I'm going to be accused. He loved Charles Leno and I love Sam Mustipher. I'm just standing up for guys who I think are being unfairly criticized. Mm-hmm. They have some bad plays, but now all of a sudden they're just bad. And that's just not the case. That's not the case.
We're not, guys, we're not saying neither Aldo and I are not saying he's an all-pro center. Or anything like that. We're just saying that he's a guy that he's limited, right? His strength is not point of contact power. His strength is getting upfield, moving laterally, sideline to sideline, and getting his defenders, getting an angle on defenders and just kind of pushing them or nudging them out of the way, creating that crease, that lane for the running back or if it's Justin Fields, if you, for example, to get in there and get up into that second level and hopefully beyond that and make a big positive play. He's not going to get up mano a mano on a big, 300-pound defensive lineman and just kind of, bully him off of his point there. That's not his game. That's not his strength. There are centers that are made for the zone blocking scheme, and there are centers that are made for the power gap scheme. And Mustipher, if the Bears are running a power gap scheme, Mustipher would have been a horrible fit for the Bears, but they're not. They're running that zone scheme, that inside zone, that wide zone scheme. And that's why that they like him there. That's why they like his athletic ability. And again, especially with these zone blocks, we just saw a couple clips there, like Aldo just said, it's chipping and releasing. being athletic enough to be able to chip and then get to your second level run fit, your linebacker, your safety, whoever's there that's in your pathway, to be able to seal that guy off and allow your running back, once he gets through the crease, to go ahead and cut off your block. So that's what he does best. And that's why he's starting for the Bears here at center.
You talked about this earlier in the show. And I lost my train of thought. Regarding the Bears offensive line and just scheming. Do you think that we can see a graduation on the part of the play calling and scheming so that we're not having to give so much more help to the offensive linemen, especially the tackles, and that you could see a little bit more of what Matt Nagy likes to run, which is, multiple receivers downfield? Do you think that we might see a progression in that area this week?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not comfortable right now is saying, let's go ahead and line up 5 guys and then let's block up the other opponents, 5 or 6 guys or anything like that. So because I like what they're doing now. Is they're playing, 2-3 tight ends. I love seeing Alex Bars as a tight end, the extra offensive lineman in there as a tight end, and just to keep it, keep something in for the future here. Don't put it past Laser or Nagy to call a pass play, and especially probably in the red zone area, to an Alex Bars. Maybe throw him the football there because he's going to be an eligible guy in terms of he comes in and plays tight end. But I like seeing that. I like seeing those 3 tight ends in there. I like seeing establishing that physicality, establishing that run game, if you will. Telling the opposing defense, hey, we're going to run the ball. You try and stop us, and then build off of that. Whether it's play action, dropping back and 2-man routes, 3-man routes. But I would always try and keep a guy in there, a tight end or a back, just to help chip and just kind of help in pass protection. I don't want to see what I saw in Cleveland for a long time. Okay. I don't want to see that unless you have two bookend tackles, and Peters is getting a little bit better. Okay. Again, we should kind of be fair to him because we were hard on him the first couple of weeks. Again, the guy was fishing, guys, when the Bears called him. So I don't know how much shape he was in. And so it looks like he's trying to get back into football shape. And of course, he had that, was it a quad injury that week 1 against the Rams? So, but he's getting better. We just saw a couple clips here, him pulling and sealing off that edge on that Herbert run. Is getting better in terms of, pass protection. Is he the all pro Jason Peters that we had, that the Phillies had, or Eagles had back in, 4 or 5 years ago? No, he's not there. Probably will never be there again, but is he sufficient enough to go give us some protection there? Yeah, I'm feeling better and better about him there at left tackle. But I'm not comfortable just the 5-man sets. Now, there are going to be times where, they're going to want to try it, give defense a different look. Maybe you catch them in a certain look or a certain scheme in terms of defensively. You could take advantage of that. But I want to see, 2-3 tight end sets. I want to see running backs staying in the backfield, helping in pass protection as well.
Very good. And are you concerned at all with Khalil Herbert's pass blocking abilities?
He's a rookie. There were a couple of times where he came up, he identified the right guy, came up to him. There was one play was Abrams, the safety from the Raiders. He came up and he blocked him. But he's a rookie. I expect to see some rookie mistakes there in terms of his pass blocking. So I think maybe we'll see more of Ryan Nall now in the game here as well. They did use him as a fullback in an I formation, especially with JP Holtz out. So maybe we'll see more of Holtz in that fullback formation, if you will, helping out with pass pro too. So there was one formation, I want to say it was against the Lions, where they had at that point both Holtz and Nall in the backfield in the shotgun with Justin Fields. I like that, but that is kind of a telltale, if you will, because if you see those 2 guys next to him, it's going to be a passing. It's going to be a pass play, and those guys are back there to kind of just be, pass blockers there.
All right. I asked Chubbs to show me some plays. So he says, pull up the play, Aldo, where James Daniels suplexes the linebacker, and look at Sam Mustipher. So I found it here on Twitter. So bear with me as I call it up here. We'll take a look at it. And then, Danny, you tell me what Sam Mustipher does here.
Yeah. So
let me see if I can blow it up.
Yeah, if you can blow it up, it'd be great.
All right. So here comes again.
So he's engaged in his blocking, and I mean, I don't know. To me, that's a plus
wrong there.
Yeah, he plus that because he was in line with his guy. His guy doesn't make the play. Yeah,
he never touched his defender, never touched Herbert. So I don't know what he's saying.
That's 90 that's falling on the ground, that's flailing away. So yeah, when he was able to break free from Mustafa, Herbert had already passed him by. But I don't think this is the play that they were looking for. I think he's talking about the play where actually this is a play. I'm sorry, you're right. This is a play. Yep. Yeah. He caught the James Daniels caught the defender trying to jump in the air and then just kind of lowered him and just kind of drilled him into the ground. But yeah, I mean, for me, Mustafa there, that's not a bad play, guys. Again, he's a guy that's going to move guys laterally. He's not a guy that's going to bulldoze guys or par them off the point of, at the line of scrimmage. So he moved his defender to the left there and allowed, Herbert to go ahead and help along with his offensive lineman, his teammates, create a lane, a crease there for Herbert to cut back into. So for me, that's a positive play for Mustafa. That's not a negative play.
All right. So Chubbs, be better prepared next week because your one piece of evidence there didn't help your cause at all.
I mean, we can go back to the Rams game. We'll see where Mustafa's getting blown off the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
That's now no doubt, Chubbs. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but again, that's not his strength. That's not where he excels at.
Right. I'm not saying that, Sam Mustafa for every game, he's been graded at run blocking, which is where I'm getting a lot of heat in the chat room. But I will say that the last 2 or 3 games, he's been playing at a much better level, and I just will continue to see progression. And I go back to last year when he stepped in at the center position, and during a tape study with the entire team, when Sam Mustafa's name came up, during the tape study, Matt Nagy said Sam Mustafa's name. He didn't ask for applause or anything, but every Bears player in that room spontaneously applauded him because they knew what he did was special. He stepped into a situation, a guy who was undrafted, a guy who probably shouldn't have made the team, a guy who suffered an injury the senior year in Notre Dame, was overlooked, a guy who doesn't have the strength really to play that position. Somebody mentioned Heranis Grasu, that he's probably just a little stronger, but that's not a compliment. And I agree. Heranis Grasu was not a professional center. But what I'm saying is that every Bears player recognized that what Sam Mustafa did last season is stepping in and giving a C average blocking was worthy of applause. And I think he's just getting better and better. He's going to get stronger. And I hate for people to, in my opinion, unfairly criticize the guy.
Also, the one thing is just kind of studying these players coming out of college. This kid was well coached at Notre Dame in terms of he was a captain on that team. He's a guy that was really, well respected on that team. He's highly, in terms of coach, he was well coached. Mm-hmm. The other thing is you just mentioned something here was last year when he took over the center position. When did that start taking off for him? When did he start looking better and better? Who was the play caller? Who was the guy making the plays? Who was the guy putting him in position to make these kind of blocks? Not asking him to be one-on-one blocks against guys like Aaron Donald or some of the big behemoths on the Cleveland Browns, right? It's Bill Lazor. And now again, with Bill Lazor calling the play the last couple of weeks, we've seen an improved play from that interior offensive line because he's got that inside zone, blocking going on. He's got those double teams, the ability to go ahead and have these guys chip and release until the next level. So I think it's a play caller. It's a scheme that's putting the player in its best position to succeed, to have success. Obviously, when Nagy was calling the plays, these guys were not being put in that best position to succeed. Not just Mustafa, but I think the entire offensive line. I think has looked much better with Bill Lazor calling the plays both last year and this year so far.
Yeah. Chubbs has come up with this excuse.
but yeah, we've said that Chubbs, that's not his strength. He's not a powerful guy at the point of contact. His ability is just
there. He used his technique to overcome his strength. And that's important. Technique can sometimes take overs for some of your deficiencies. There are some left tackles in the league who don't have the proper arm length, but there have been a few who have done really well, Hall of Fame well, but because of their technique, their fast feet, able to, overcome the lack of arm length that you need at a left tackle position.
And there are guys, interior offensive linemen, that are big, strong men, right? But they couldn't move their feet and they couldn't move laterally. And those quicker, more athletic defensive linemen were just swimming right by them, and they couldn't do anything about it. But yet, if you ask them to, block straight ahead, they could blow that guy off the line of scrimmage 4 or 5 yards backwards. But when pass blocking or trying to do anything laterally, those guys couldn't do anything either. So again, it's you draft and you get fit on these players based upon your scheme and how you're going to run it. If you're a zone scheme team like the Bears are, whether inside or outside zone, you need guys that are athletic and they can move laterally, and that's where Mustipher excels at.
Yeah. Chubbs, this is the NFL. Yeah, it'd be great to have guys who have it all, but that's not the case. There isn't a team that you could look at all 22 starters and say, this guy has it all. He has everything in the speed, the blah, the blah, the blah. That just doesn't happen. If they could have spent resources on acquiring another center that fit all those bills, if one was available, then they probably would, because Mustipher does have some deficiencies. But you're going to do that at the expense of trying to fill some other areas on the team that are bad. And Danny, what do you say to people who are advocating for James Daniels to make the move back to center?
And then I'm a big James Daniels fan coming out of Iowa, and that's where I projected him coming out of the draft. I saw him as a center. Moving him to left guard last year, I think was something that, or 2 years ago, was something that they tried. And actually, he was playing well last year at left guard before he got hurt. The transition to right guard this year, I think he's been off to a slow start. He's been picking up as well lately. We just saw that highlight where he drilled that safety into the ground there. But for me, he's a natural center. So if you were going to look for someone to replace Mustipher, potentially is you pull out Mustipher out of the lineup, you move Daniels over to center, and you insert Alex Bars at right guard. That's what I would do if you're looking to make a potential move. But again, you're now you're going to be messing with Daniels again. Now he goes from left guard last year to right guard this year, and then center again. So it's like these players, you love versatility, but you also like to see them, stay in the same spot, year after year, snap after snap, rep after rep, because that's how they get their trade down. That's how they become better at that position. So, if you're going to move Daniels to center, then make it a permanent move. Don't move him from center to guard, blah, 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 all this stuff. So I think Whitehair has done a nice job and kind of positioned himself at left guard. I think Mustipher, is he great? No, he's not great. Is he serviceable? Yes, he's serviceable at center. And I think James Daniels is coming into his own as a right guard. But if you talk about future years and just making a permanent move, I'm all for James Daniels playing center.
Yeah. If you're going to move Daniels to center, please do it in the offseason. Don't do it
in the season unless there's an injury and you have to do it.
Right. So Chubbs is now saying, so you agree that Sam Mustipher has to be replaced. I'll try this one more time. What do you place as a higher priority? Replacing, finding somebody at the left tackle position to play to the next 5 to 10 years, or replacing Sam Mustipher? I'll ask you, Danny. What do you put higher priority?
The tackles are number one priorities from your offensive line. You can always find interior offensive linemen and throughout the draft. Mustipher was for example, was undrafted free agent. So you go left tackle or right tackle and you secure your tackle spots, and then you start looking. These guys, typically guards and centers, are unless they're like Quentin Nelson, guys like that. They go on that day 2, late day 2, early day 3 of the draft. You're not using a first round pick on these guys. So typically. Right. So left tackle all day. You secure, if you have secured tackles left and right, you have the makings of a strong offensive line, because then you can fill in the guards. Not saying the guards and centers are easy to find or they're not as important. They're very important, but just finding those type of players. Again, scheme fit is a key here, guys. If you want athletic guys to run a zone scheme, you need athletic offensive linemen. If you want big, powerful guys because you're running a power scheme, then you need guys that are more powerful, more stout at the point of contact. They can move guys off their spot, off the line of scrimmage there. So it all depends on what you're running and what you prefer to run there. And for the Bears, when you run the zone scheme, Mustipher is a fit.
A question here that Chubbs was kind of referring to. I want to reply to what he just said. It is okay, Chubbs, to try to replace everything, because Chubbs says, get a left tackle and a center. It is okay. Well, we got a center, James Daniels. Like Danny said, he played center at Iowa. He was supposed to be the center. He was moved to center. And what happened? They had to move him out because he was terrible at the center position. Why was he terrible? Because he didn't have the mental acuity at this point in his career to make all the play calls. That he was even being criticized for his voice not being loud enough over the noise of the crowd. The other linemen couldn't hear him. And so that was a huge problem. And he was moved off the center position, and he's been playing much better as the right guard. I mean, last season, those first 3-4 games before his injury, he looked like this guy looks like a quality guard. And now he's picked up just where he left off. So moving him to center might be the answer to the problem. Maybe he's gotten smarter. Maybe his voice is stronger. But we did draft a center, and it didn't work. And when Sam Mustafa was placed in, he was applauded because of his mental acuity, because of his smarts. And that is really, really important for that center position, is because he's the quarterback of that line. So I'll ask you, Danny, this question. You said the left tackle over the center. And then during the course of your response, you also mentioned that the right tackle is important too. Mm-hmm. So what's a higher priority, right tackle or center to replace with this given Bears team?
Tackle, either tackle is a higher priority for me right now.
Right.
Because I think the Bears' strength right now on the offensive line is the interior. And I think that the big question marks aren't the tackle. Now, and I don't wish injury to anyone, but with Wilkinson taking over for Ifedi at right tackle, that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops, because I'm not a big Jermaine Ifedi fan. I know he was playing okay, if you will, the last couple of games, but yet I want to see Wilkinson, who is a more athletic guy. It's got a little bit more length, but he's not as powerful at the point of attack again. And the guy is not going to be as strong as Ifedi was probably at the point of attack. But if you can't move laterally, pass rushers are going right around them. So I want to see Wilkinson at right tackle. But yeah, for me all day, if I shore up my tackle spots, then I can sleep comfortably at night, because I know at least my quarterback, if he's going to get killed, he's going to see what's coming at him right in front of him with the guards in the center. So, and there's a reason why, guards and centers are taken later on in the draft. And a lot of these guys come out of nowhere and become, whether undrafted free agent, and become all pros, is because these are positions that you can kind of fill in and base it off of your scheme and what you like to do best. There's players that could play on the 49ers at center or guard. Laken Tomlinson, a good example there, a local kid. I forgot what school. I think he went to Duke. He was a first-round pick as a guard. I think the Lions took him, and he didn't work out. I couldn't remember what scheme they were playing at that point. But now he's with the 49ers, who play a more, zone-based athletic scheme, and now he's a starter for the 49ers, right? So again, it's the fit, and it's the type of player you want. Not every player is going to fit on every single offensive line. That's why you draft to your scheme, to your coaching staff. That's why when these coaching staffs are fired, who new coaching staff is brought in, if they're changing up the scheme, that's why you see a mass clearinghouse of a lot of these players, because they want to bring in players that fit their scheme and fit their style of play. So if the Bears ever make a change and they go to a more power based offensive blocking scheme, yeah, Mustafa is not going to probably be your starting center. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair. Chubbs and a bunch of other people are speaking highly of Larry Borom. You don't think he's a left tackle?
I don't know what the love is for Larry Borom. I mean, I don't know, because Juan Castillo praised him, or I'm not sure why people love Larry Borom. He hasn't done anything.
He praised Jermaine Ifedi too, saying he's going to have a Pro Bowl year. So go ahead.
I'm not sure, what's going on with Larry Borom. Like, for me, he was a guy that you could bring him in and probably stick him in as a guard and kind of develop him. But, people talk about him at left tackle. I know he lost weight. He looks a little bit more quicker. But guys, it's not easy just coming in and playing left tackle. I don't know if Borom is a guy that I would trust at left tackle. Right tackle, a different story. We could kind of, see how we start him off there and see how it goes there. But also, if we get Tevin Jenkins, guys, this is their second round pick. This is a guy that eventually is going to come back and play, whether it's this year or next year. He's a guy that I think is going to probably be better suited for right tackle. But again, you got to throw him in the mix as well. So, you may have your right tackle. I know that Ryan Pace thinks he may have his left tackle of the future. I'm not so sure about that, but you may have your right tackle of the future with Tevin Jenkins. And if you kick a guy like Borom inside the guard, that strengthens your interior as well too. So, we'll see what happens. But for me, I'll never ever pick any other interior position over a left or right tackle. For me, the tackles are key on the offensive line.
And Danny, Alex Bars has now kind of assumed this role of being the guy that can play just about any position on the offensive line. Do you foresee him having a chance at being a starter at any one of those positions on the offensive line?
Well, last year again, we'll go back to last year when they made the big change in the offensive line. He inserted Mustafa at center, and then Alex Barge was your right guard, guys. And I think he acquitted himself nicely, and I liked what I saw of him. Obviously, the Bears coaching staff feels that some of the other guys here are better than him. Like, I would have given him a shot to compete for right tackle, me personally, because he played left tackle at Notre Dame. He's a guy who's played both sides in college, so I think he could have at least given him a shot and see how he held up. But for whatever reason, they like him more as that interior guy, a guy that can be, back up a guard, either guard position, and he even play some center. I think it was versus the Titans last year. He started at center.
He did.
Yeah, so he's a guy that's got that versatility. So I think they like that, especially on game days where there's only a limited number of players you can dress. They like these offensive linemen that give you that versatility where they can play multiple positions.
This has been an outstanding 60 plus minutes. I want to end the show with two things. One is get your prognostication of this week's Bears-Packers game. You want to give us a score? You want to give us a scenario of what your expectations are?
Well, I mean, again, just in terms of, I'm not really good at picking scores or anything like that, but it's just in order for the Bears to win this game, obviously, we talked about it earlier, you're going to have to slow down. You're not going to stop Aaron Rodgers. You're going to have to try and slow him down, right? You're going to have to try and get some pressure on him, make him feel uncomfortable in the pocket, disguise as well as you can any sort of coverage and not give him the easy, quick release valve and to get rid of that football. Allow your front four guys to get pressure on him and get to him and hopefully get some sacks. And offensively, I continue building, right? This is a game, continue going with the offensive line. I think we've seen, a little of a track record here with Bill Lazor. He's a guy that commits to the run game, and I love that. Commit to that, get the offensive line going there, get their blood pumping, get them getting some first downs here. And now you got to start expanding that passing game and start utilizing Justin Fields. And I think for me, I think Justin Fields has a terrific downfield accuracy. We've seen a limited sample size of his downfield accuracy. I think now you start utilizing that. I think once you establish a run game, you do that play action, you suck in some of those defenders here towards the line of scrimmage. Now you give your guys the Moonies, the Robinsons, the Marquise Goodwins, the Demir Bird. We've heard about all the speed the Bears brought in, and now you have a quarterback that can get the ball to him downfield. Let's start using that. Now I know that they're going slowly with Fields, but again, don't leave him out on the island. Don't leave just 5 protectors out there on offensive line. Max protect, put in 2 tight ends, put in 2 backs, chip, whatever you got to do, but give him some time and let's start challenging downfield, especially with Jerry Alexander not playing this week for them, or he's on IR. He's their best corner. I know Stokes, their first round pick, has been playing. I've seen some plays where he's made some terrific plays on the ball. I've seen some plays where he's gotten burned badly, as well. And I think Kevin King is still there. He's an easy target to pick on as well at cornerback. So I like to see them just try, and move the ball downfield through the air and attack the Packers that way as well. So their best pass rusher is not going to be in the game. He's out as well. Zaire Smith is out. So, this is I think you're getting him that at a good time where you can kind of take advantage of the Packers. So hopefully they do that. But again, I don't think 20 points is going to be enough. So whether it's 24, 25, 20, as long as you score 1 point more than the Packers, it's all you need. So, picking scores, I'm horrible at that, but that's how I think you got to win. You got to pressure Rodgers, make him uncomfortable in the pocket, slow him down, and then just continue to build off of that run game and now start threading down the field. Yep.
Besides the 10 times he's been sacked this year, I want to quickly look up how many interceptions he's thrown, because he's thrown, I remember in that first game against the Saints, he threw quite a few.
I think it was 3.
Well, and he still has 3 according to the stats that I'm looking at. So I thought he had more than 3, but Sunday.
In that Packers game, that Saints game, what happened up front? The Saints got after them. Right. The Saints defensive front got after him, made him uncomfortable in the pocket, had him rush his throws a little bit, got off, thrown off balance, off his back foot. Now we've seen him throw, 50-yard missiles off his back foot, but again, when he's uncomfortable throwing off his back foot as opposed to being comfortable throwing off his back foot, it's 2 different things there. So just, like I said, make him uncomfortable, make him move his feet, make him move his set spot and his launch angles as well.
How many sacks do you think we're going to see on Rodgers?
Man, that guy's so tough to sack. And that's the thing. It's like he just the quick release, the ability to. He's so smart pre-snap, and then he knows where to get rid of the football. I know it's tough. I'll say, I don't know, 2, 3. I'll give Mac 1. I'll give Quinn 1, and I'll give 1 to, I don't know, Mario Edwards.
Well, yeah, and I think there's a really good chance we're going to see some kind of defensive back sack too. Sometimes you need that speedy guy to chase him down, and so I could see him running for his life away from Mack and Quinn, and somebody even like Duke Shelley perhaps getting a sack.
Actually, that's a good point, because I think who's terrific at delayed blitz is Roquan Smith. So I'll take away my Mario Edwards sack, and I'll give it to Roquan Smith, because he can just stay back there, and all of a sudden he'll come on delay blitz, and his closing burst, his speed to get to the quarterback or ball carrier is phenomenal. So you can see him, and he's a very effective blitzer coming off the edge as well. So I'll give one to Roquan Smith.
I think Mule is tossing you a softball one here. He says, if the Bears win Sunday, should they be the fave to win the division? Yeah, right.
Favorite. I mean, we still have 11 more weeks to go. We'll see. It's a long season. It's going to be hard to make them a favorite. I mean, there's a lot that's there, for me at least. The Bears are going in a positive direction. As opposed to as soon as Bill Lazor started calling the plays, I started seeing some more things on offense that I liked. I talked about the offensive line, the way they're blocking. Let's build off of that. Once we know the defense is good. I think I'm pretty confident in Sean Desai already with 5 weeks in. I think we got the right defensive coordinator. Now let's make sure we don't lose them in the offseason. That's the key there as well. But I think defense is going to be good. The thing right now is we got to score more points, guys. So once we're starting to get that's an average of 20, 22, 24, 25 points a game, that's when I'm going to start being more confident, right? Right now we're still winning games by 17, 20 points we're scoring. Once we get more points involved there, you get a little more consistent on offense. That's when I'm going to be even more confident. Now, I did love seeing that 16 play drive, a 16 play 86-yard drive that chewed up 8 minutes and some in terms of time of possession. That's awesome, because that keeps the opponent offense off the field, and that keeps your defense off the field as well. I'm sorry, offense and then the defense off the field, and now your guys are back there resting, and especially when you go and punch it in and score, it's even better. So I think that's key. Now, if you could do that against the Packers, that's going to be even better.
Huge. All right. Then the second thing I wanted to mention before we close is that this Sunday, immediately after the Bears game, Danny Shimon will be filling in for John Buffone on Bear Football. So we're going to have the advantage of having Danny's analysis of what immediately transpired. And so it'll be Tyler Ellis, Danny Shimon, and myself. John's got the week off, so I am super excited that you're back on Bear Football. You were on a couple of weeks ago, and everybody loved it. So I'm sure they're going to love you talking about the Packers being sacked 6 times, the Bears winning 28-20, and those are my predictions.
Nice, 20. Yeah. So I mean, I'll take it. That sounds like a perfect Sunday for me right there. 20-26 sacks on Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I'm excited to fill. I got big shoes to fill with John here. Big shoes and big T-shirts to fill too.
Do your veins pop up when you start?
No. I try to do that. I can't do it. No. Oh, you're talking about when I get ugly? I'm ugly. Angry. That's
right.
Yeah. I don't know. I have to see that, but hopefully I won't be getting angry after this game. Hopefully it will be a nice victory we can talk about, and we can just kind of drink our Bears Kool-Aid, and hopefully we'll talk about a big victory there. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, just the positivity, you can feel it within the team. The one thing I did was really scared last week when I saw Justin Fields go down with that knee injury. That's I'm like just typical Bears luck. I'm like, just when you think you got the quarterback in there and this would happen, thank God it was nothing serious. He was able to come back 2 plays later. But again, we talked about it, during the pre-draft process. One of the things I love about Justin Fields is the guy is mentally and physically tough. And, the guy, and the thing I love about him as well, real quick, I know we're wrapping up here, but the press conference this week with the reporters where they're trying to talk about the Michigan and Ohio State, whatever, he had nothing to do with it. He had straight face, didn't smile, then just kept on and that means he's all business. He's not here to mess around. He's not here, to make fun with or make friends with reporters. He's here. He's concentrating. He's zoned in, and he's ready to go.
Yep. Ernie 77 says the scouts never get very angry. You guys are all even tempered and analytical.
Oh no, we get angry. Ask Aldo. Me and Neil had some battles over this past draft on tap, and that's just us. Imagine if you're in the actual war room, trying to get your guy drafted. We've heard the tales from Gabriel in terms of scouts pounding the table for players. That actually happens, guys. Scouts do get angry. There are verbal confrontations, if you will, because one scout's bashing another guy's guy and so on and so forth. So, but if you feel adamant about a player that you've scouted and you think you know how good this guy could be, and someone else is just bashing him because for whatever reason, yeah, you get heated, you get defensive, and you start going back and forth. So yeah, we get angry.
Well, and I'm going to get angry if you ever decide to leave the bar room because you're one of the best, man, at this. So congratulations on another great show, Danny. And I can't wait for Sunday when we're talking about the Bears upsetting the Packers. The Packers are getting 4 points. And so I say definitely take the points and the money line and win some big money. And I'm not a gambler, so don't listen to me, but that's what I'm going to do. So, do you gamble at all, Danny? Do you ever place a bet on something?
No, I don't have the money to gamble. You don't pay me enough to gamble.
That is true. All right, Danny, we'll see you next week. And thanks, everybody, for being live with us. And retweet this once it's out on we don't put it on audio version because it's so visual oriented. So retweet the YouTube link for us. We would really appreciate it. And if you could stop by the Barroom Swag Shop and buy a t-shirt or hat, we would really appreciate that too. So for Danny Shimon, I'm Aldo Gandia. We'll see you next time.